Welcome to my presentation about immigration to the United States. In this video, I will explain why the USA is often called a nation of immigrants and how immigration has changed from the past to the present. First, I want to explain what immigration means. Immigration is when people move from their country to another country and plan to live there for a long time. In this presentation, we focus on people who immigrated to the United States and their reasons for doing so. The United States is often described as a nation of immigrants. This is because many people who live there today have parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents who came from other parts of the world. For example, from Ireland, Italy, Mexico, China, or the Philippines. Since 1965, about half of all immigrants to the USA have come from Latin America and about a quarter from Asia. To understand why people emigrate, we often talk about push and pull factors. Push factors are negative things that push people away, like poverty, unemployment, hunger, war, or discrimination. Pull factors are positive things in the new country that attract people, such as better jobs, higher wages, available land, or more freedom and safety. A clear example of a push factor is the Great Famine in Ireland. In the 1840s, a disease destroyed the potato crops, and many Irish families had almost nothing to eat. More than 1 million people died, and between 1845 and 1855, over 1.5 million Irish men, women, and children left Ireland and went to America. Many of them were very poor and hoped to find food and work in the United States. Another example are Jewish families from Eastern Europe. In countries such as Russia and Poland, they often suffered from strong discrimination and from violent attacks called pogroms. For many of them, emigration became the only way to protect themselves and their children. Between 1880 and 1920, more than 2 million Jews from Eastern Europe arrived in the United States. At the same time, the United States attracted many people with strong pull factors. There were jobs in growing industries, on the railroads and in mines, and in some areas there was still land for farming. Many immigrants believed in the American dream, which means that if you work hard, you can improve your life and that of your family. This hope was very important for people who had lived in poverty in Europe. Between 1892 and 1954, Ellis Island in New York Harbor was the most important entry point for immigrants. Nearly 12 million people passed through the station, especially between 1892 and 1924. On Ellis Island, doctors and officials checked the new arrivals. Some people were allowed to enter, others had to stay for some time, and a few were sent back. For many families, Ellis Island was both an island of hope and an island of tears. After they arrived, everyday life for immigrants was often very hard. Many men and women had to work long hours in dangerous factories, on building sites, or in mines. And they received only low wages. In big cities, immigrant families usually lived in crowded tenement houses. Several families shared small dark rooms with little fresh air, little clean water, and bad toilets. This led to diseases and health problems. When more and more immigrants arrived, some Americans became afraid of too much change. The government reacted with stricter laws. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was the first big law that blocked most immigration from one ethnic group. In this case, Chinese workers. In the 1920s, quota laws were introduced. These laws set limits for people from different countries and clearly favored immigrants from Northern and Western Europe, while others had fewer chances to enter. Today, immigration to the United States looks different from the past. Most immigrants now come from Latin American countries and from Asia. Mexico is still the largest single origin country, and in 2023, about 22% of all immigrants in the USA were born in Mexico. Other big groups come from India, China, the Philippines, and Cuba. This shows that modern immigration is very global and diverse. The reasons for immigration today are similar, but also more varied than in the past. Many people still come for economic reasons, because they hope to find better jobs and higher wages. Others flee from war, political violence, or human rights violations in their home countries. Some people move to the USA to live with family members who are already there, and many students come to American universities and sometimes stay to work afterwards. Immigration is also a big political topic today. In the USA, there are strong debates about how strict border control should be, especially at the southern border, and what to do with undocumented immigrants who are already in the country. Some people say that immigrants are important for the economy and make society more diverse. Others are worried about security, competition for jobs, or pressure on schools and social services. Because of these different views, immigration is often a very emotional subject. If we compare immigration in the past and today, we can see some important similarities. In both periods, people leave their home countries because they hope for a better life, more safety, and new chances. Immigrants often struggle with a new language and with low paid jobs. At the same time, they help to build the country. They pay taxes, open shops and companies, and bring new traditions, food, and music. There are also clear differences between earlier and modern immigration. In the 19th and early 20th century, most immigrants came from European countries. Today, they come from all continents, especially from Latin America and Asia. Immigration laws are now more complex and often stricter than before. Modern immigrants can also stay in a daily contact with their families at home through smartphones and the internet, something that was impossible for immigrants in the past. At the end, I want you to think about one question. Imagine that you have to leave your home, your school, and your friends and move to a country where you do not speak the language and do not know the culture. How would you feel? If we think about this, we can better understand how difficult the situation of many immigrants is and why respect and empathy are so important when we talk about immigration.